From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big early mornings broadcast direct from Santa Monica with your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that recon that has been released, the first 645 pages of which has checks. Checks for seniors, checks for hazard pay, checks for tending to seniors, nearly $4,000, checks to fix your home, checks MSC of $51,000 over decades. Then we cut to the incredible details of what else is happening right after that. We'll be cutting to cluster number 2, the next set of 12 checks, which includes money for paid sick leave and home leave, which could be upwards of $1,700 a week. Paid for many, many weeks, 12 items. Then we cut to cluster number 3, more checks, including checks for seniors and workers. But guess what? The number one guy in the Senate wants you to have a monthly stimulus check, and his name is Bernie Sanders. I have the latest details in another world exclusive on this channel. And then out of nowhere, Janet Yellen surprises us all with an additional $13 billion. Yeah, you heard me right. That's $13 billion available for you for additional money for rent and utilities. It's third stimulus. It's happening because the toast is toasted. The butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And this is Early Mornings LALATE. Early mornings broadcast. Thank you for joining me across the globe. Boy, it has gotten cooler here along the coast. It feels like winter, and I think that is where we're heading in Santa Monica. Hope the weather is good where you are. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is where you are. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, shockers like we've never seen. 645 pages of the reconciliation bill released, and there's all checks of all magnitude in there in this incredible details. Then we got to cluster number 2 and cluster number 3 that has checks for seniors, checks for workers, big checks across the board. This is a lot of checks. I'm going to reduce these to a bill writing in the next few hours or days. And then, yes, the excitement of an MSC from Bernie Sanders and IRS MSC is eating up. He vows to provide it for you. I have the latest world exclusive in this recording. More details today as well. And then out of nowhere came this shocker. Not the waves, but boy, another wave of money. Yes, literally another wave of checks. It's a waveable check. $13 billion of it from Janet Yellen. Where did this come from? It's third stimulus, and I have all the details and more. And this is Early Mornings LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Thank you for making the last 3 days the 3 biggest days of this channel in nearly 3 months. We have been on fire, and you see why, because I'm going to cover all these incredible checks, details, monies like we've never seen before. It's happening, and it's happening right now. So subscribe. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let's get right into those checks. First, 645 pages of them. The first 645 pages of the reconciliation budget bill for stimulus has been released, and it's just check after check after check. Monthly checks, multiple checks, lots of them. Let's go over the details, first broadly and then specifically. Hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for children, checks for your home, checks for businesses, and checks for workers, and also checks for students. All right, the first one off the board, of course, the excitement of hazard pay. Hazard pay is back on. It was manifested first in second stimulus, but they never got it done. So they did it in third stimulus with the modification of an old tax code called the earning income tax credit. What did they do? They modified it by increasing the eligibility, making it available for people age 18 to any age on the high end, and increasing the income qualifications so more people got it. They also gave more money. But that was only temporary. Well, guess what? It's permanent under fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus would make the earned income tax credit for essential workers a lifetime. That means if you have the job and you continue to be eligible, you would get paid that earned income tax credit every year. Now, one thing I want to make clear in this recording is that fourth stimulus has nothing to do with the pandemic. So none of these items are pandemic related. They're just new parts of our livelihood going forward in life. Then, a big surprise that came out of nowhere. $4,000 a year? Yes, if you care for an elderly, they will give you up to $4,000 a year. It's incredible. It's a new modification to the code, $4,000 a year. And if you care for a young adult, like a child, you can be getting up to $4,000 a year. This is huge for care providers that may have a senior at home. Incredible. It came from Richard Neal, the head of the Ways and Means Committee, his insight. Then how about $51,000? I think you like 51,000. I like 51,000. This is the biggest MSC we've ever seen in the history of this channel. They're making the child tax credit a lifetime. So that first manifests itself under third stimulus, where if you have a child 18 years or younger and you live in a low-income household, you can get up to $300 a month. They're going to do it only a lifetime. That means that if you're a parent and you remain a low-income household over the next 18 years, you will get $300 a month per child per month for 18 years, up to $300 a month, as long as you remain qualified. Incredible. There's lots of other money in this first 645 pages, like fixing your home. Yes. There will be new incentives to repair homes in poor areas, low-income housing, so low-income neighborhoods. So if you need to fix your home, there will be new money for that as well. And then there's lots of other items, like money for students. There'll be grants for students, grants given to colleges that give it to students, and then they'll make the Pell Grant taxable, tax-free. And how about those bikes, those cars? Yes, lots of them. So guess what? If you want to buy a bike for personal use, business use, any use, they'll provide up to 15% of the bike if it's electric. Then how about a car? If you want to buy a new car, if it's for personal use and it's electric, they'll pay you up to $7,500 for it. This is a personal use car. Then if you want to buy one for business, they'll do that, something like that as well. And finally, they are proposing to do modifications for this for non-U.S. manufacturers. So this is currently proposed for the major 3 U.S. auto manufacturers. They're proposing to do a separate number for Tesla and the import companies. And there you go. The first 645 pages of the reconciliation budget bill. It's incredible. But why just 645 pages? Let me explain all the details for you right now, because guess what? There's a lot of other pages coming. The reason why we have the first 645 pages released is because these are the pages they agreed upon. How did they do this? Who did this? Democratic senators, Democratic House members met face-to-face over the phone or in their offices over the last few weeks. These were the easy items they agreed to. Who are the negotiators? Just Democrats of Democrats, House and Senate. On the floor? No. They are not on the floor of the Senate, on the House of the Senate. They are not on TV. They're just behind closed doors. See, what do you think about this? I like it. Go write it up. I like this one. Go write it up. Eventually, they had 645 pages to go write it up, and these are them. Now, that's not to say these are the only pages. This is just the first 645 pages. We have 2 more clusters at least coming up in this video and coming up from those Democrats. Cluster number 2 is 12 items that they have talked about day in, day out, that broadcast media and myself all agree they're going to get into the recon. Why are they not written up yet? Likely going over the numbers still. Cluster number 3, another set of checks, including checks for seniors and workers that the president wants in there, and that likely is getting worked up as well. That's getting finished additionally. Lots of different clusters. Meantime, let's turn over the third stimulus for just a second with the breaking news, which came out of nowhere in the middle of the day yesterday. This was one of those stories where you sort of blinked and you said, what? Where did that come from? And the surprising detail was no one really saw it coming. Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary, announced yesterday that there's another $13 billion she's sending out for third stimulus. For what? Rent and utilities. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. What's going on? Rent and utilities, which we cover on this channel day in, day out, third stimulus, some places did run out of money. Viewers have said it. My county had no money. They said they ran out. They had it before they ran out. Or the state said they had it, but they ran out. Janet Yellen identified it. She said, yeah, we have some states or counties or cities that have ran out. So I'm sending out the remainder of the money. This is incredible because why is this happening? The federal government, under third stimulus, provided approximately $48 billion to cities and counties and states. And that $48 billion was sent out first as a $28 billion cash infusion. They used it, then they sent out about another $9 billion. But then some places started to run out with it. So Janet Yellen said, here's the next $13 billion. So this $13 billion means that if you're in a city, county, or state, and you've reached out to them because you watch this channel, you know where to look for it, and they said, we ran out of money, guess what? They're getting more money, and it's going to come today, this week, or next week. Get ready to get that money. And boy, the excitement continues across the board. Let's cut back to some more checks. And those checks are cluster number 2. These checks in cluster number 2 are absolutely incredible for forced stimulus recon. Again, these are not pandemic checks. They're just checks in general. It has nothing to do with the pandemic. You don't have to suffer anything from the pandemic. They're just checks that'll be permanently in the landscape of this country and its organization and structure. First number of checks are paid family and medical leave. How does this work? What does it mean? Paid family leave means, for example, your spouse is pregnant and you have to stay home. Paid medical leave means, for example, your son broke his leg and you have to stay home. Remember, this is not pandemic issues. This is just life in general. And you had to stay home from work. So how much are they going to pay? They're going to pay on a weekly basis based upon their indication from third stimulus. And let's go over what they propose in the third stimulus and look at that under fourth stimulus. Well, they proposed a lot. They proposed $1,700 a week if you make $71,000 or more per year, and then just lower the number based upon how much you make per year. So for example, let's say you make half that amount a year. Let's say make half that amount. Let's say you make $30,000 a year. Then you would get $800 a week. That's a lot of money. Let's say you make even half of that amount. Let's say you only make $15,000 a year. Then you get $400 a week. That is a lot of money. Who would pay the money? The federal government would pay the money to your employer, who would then pay the money to you. Incredible. What else is in there? Weatherization of your home. This is huge. If you're any of those individuals who have talked or seen anything or felt, unfortunately, the impact of the hurricanes, the fires, the tornadoes of this year, this is huge. The federal government will have checks in this second cluster to provide to you if you want to weatherize your home. And this is a big savings for the federal government, so they don't have to spend the money on FEMA and other issues later on if your home better sustains these natural events. Then there's going to be a build-up of child care programs. There's going to be expansion of the household tax credit, like the enhanced child tax credit. This next item you're going to hear also in cluster number 3. Expansion of the Medicare benefits, including lowering the eligibility age, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing. And then checks for the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Then comes some money for education. Universal pre-K will be free. So if you want to send your child to pre-kindergarten, it will be paid up by the federal government. And the next one, I really like it for you and me. Why? A lot of you say, I don't understand what the world he's talking about, LA. Well, guess what? They send you to community college to take French for free. Pardon my French. They'll provide you tuition-free community college. So if you want to go to community college to learn French, so you understand what the world is that kid talking about, they'll pay for it for free. You don't have to get a degree on it just so you figure out what the world am I saying. Then there'll be a lot of other checks, like checks for transportation and energy. That is cluster number 2. Boy, I'm going to get cluster number 3 in a second, but I think one of the things you want to hear about, and I certainly want to talk about as well, is that Bernie Sanders IRS MSC. If you've been with this channel for the last 2 days, I've added a new terminology to this channel, which is IRS MSC. For stimulus recon, you already saw the 645 pages. It has multiple checks in there, so the word MSC is confusing. And it also has monthly checks in there, so the word MSC is confusing. So I'm adding the word IRS to that when we're talking about the checks that Bernie wants you to have. And in a world exclusive, once again, another staffer from Bernie Sanders' office confirms that he wants to give you a forced stimulus check. Donnie, a longtime viewer of this channel, with his wife, picked up the phone and called and advocated for a stimulus check, spoke to Bernie Sanders' staff, and spoke to the staffer, advocated for a stimulus check, and this is what happened. I called Bernie Sanders, and his secretary said they are doing a forced stimulus check. Again, they are doing a forced stimulus check. I said, this is what I need. I need it in my city. My city needs it. I need it. I need it to progress. I need it for my water. I need it for everything. And I told her what I need. And she said, okay, they are doing a fourth. There you go. My goodness, can we beat that? Yes. Later in this recording, I'll go over more about what Bernie has told other people on this channel or staffers, and then I'll go over what Senator Chris Coons has said about promising you a monthly stimulus check as well. But boy, the excitement is far from over. And what's important to understand is that the push for all these items is coming together. Let's understand how they get this 645 pages done, and let's understand how they get the next cluster done. What's important to understand is that there's a big available pot of money for rent, utilities, food, and internet available from third stimulus, but that's likely not to continue under fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus, on the other hand, will not be pandemic-related checks. It'll just be checks in general. And fifth stimulus, coming up later in this video, that starts drafting now in the next few weeks, out in December. We have some new inspiration stories as well. The inspiration stories continue to come in. I just love them. If you have an inspiration story, send it to me. We have Dragon, who had a wonderful inspiration story yesterday. Kyra got in 17,000. Valerie got 10,000. Dawn got 4 items. Johnny, of course, which we detail a lot on this channel, and his friends and neighbors got $100,000. And then Mark, which I'm going to go over in a second, his brother-in-law got massive sums of money. But what's important to understand is that these big sums of money are available for you right now. Coming up in the second half of this video, we'll be going over the big money that's available for you under third stimulus. We'll be cutting to the third cluster of checks, and we'll also be cutting over to Bernie and those MSCs. But first, let's take a look at what are those third stimulus checks before I go over the details of them. The third cluster should be third cluster stimulus checks. That third cluster for stimulus checks are the following. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, free internet checks, wow, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, checks for Medicare, checks for seniors, checks for lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, and checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. How does those work? How do they get paid out? Are some of them automatic? They are. I have all those details and more. Then we'll cut to Bernie and the update from him and more about how to get this big sums of money under third stimulus. It's coming up, but first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back in 60 seconds as Early Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Early Mornings LA, direct from Santa Monica, California, where the weather is getting colder. It feels like winter and it's only September. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over that third cluster a little bit more and why some of it is application-based, but some of it is totally automatic. Wow, this is exciting. Then we'll be cutting to the latest update from Bernie and also Chris Coons, who say they want to give you a monthly stimulus check. I have the details on that and more. And then we'll be cutting to the exciting details of what Janet Yellen is paying you. She wants to give you a lot more money for rent and utilities, especially if you didn't get it before. It's a big day and there's a lot of excitement. It starts right now. And this is Early Mornings LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video to 3,000 likes or consider becoming a member. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto, then Countdown at 7 o'clock, and then Mornings at 9. Well, Janet Yellen made the announcement yesterday. Treasury Secretary issued a statement saying Treasury is happy to provide these states and local governments with these additional resources to support Americans in need of rental assistance. An additional $13 billion to wrap up nearly $50 billion is being sent out to states and counties. This means that if you reached out to a city, county, or state and they said, we're out of money, they will no longer be out of it. Reach out to them right away. Tell them I want to get on the waiting list. I want to know when you have the money. Can I call you again tomorrow to see if you have the money? Because they will have it. And then it will run out very quickly again. So you want to pounce, be first in line. Now let's go over the big sums of money. And our inspiration is Mark. You met Mark on this channel several days ago. He was that guy that got $51,000 from his channel. Well, Mark started helping his brother-in-law. And Jen, yesterday we met, got nearly $40,000 of rent. Let's look at these numbers. We were doing $20,000 of rent about 3 weeks ago at Nisi. Now we're going to $40,000. Mark's brother-in-law got an enormous amount for utilities as well. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Look what's happened. We've nearly doubled in a week or two, and we've nearly tripled in a month. Then when we look at Snap, we were at $5,000. Guess how much his brother-in-law got? $21,000. So get that pen and paper ready. And I got new details about where else to get money to this morning. And it actually comes from you, the viewer. Oh boy, this is exciting. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to all 6. Next, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And third, I have a surprise for you. All right, here we go. You're going to reach out to the following 6 places to get rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance. It's important to remember that if a county or state said we're out of money, that money is getting replenished ASAP. There's $13 billion going to every state. Remember, it's every state. Don't say my state's not getting it. Your state's getting it. And whether it's a Republican or Democrat state, every state's getting it. Here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, and your state housing authority. And the keywords are going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage, utility assistance because of COVID. There you go. Now, where else do you reach out to? Well, you want to reach out to all your utility companies because each utility company will pay the money as well, may pay the money as well. So if you have 5 utility companies, reach out to all of them. Utility assistance because of COVID. Then, big surprise, out of nowhere, 2 days ago I brought back on this channel, the nonprofits. The nonprofits detail on this channel in 2020 and 2021 paid a fortune for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance for viewers. And I said, I'm not quite sure if they're still paying again, but let me bring them back in the mix so you can make the phone call. Well, Morning's Countdown, which airs right after the show at 7 a.m., yesterday some of you in the live chat said, I reached out to United Way because of your video the day before, the first time I did the video. And the viewer said, I reached out to United Way and they said, we haven't heard anyone call for rent for a while. Yeah, we have it. We'll put you first on the list. There you go. The excitement's right there. So here are the nonprofits you reach out to. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. Again, United Way, St. Vincent de Paul, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. You can always replay this video for that information. 2-3 days ago, this channel brought back a lot of great shows you love from early 2021, like Business Grants, and coming up next is the SSI and SSDI show in a day or two from now. But boy, one of the big hit shows, Purple, is back on, baby. It now airs at 11:30 p.m. It aired last night, it aired the night before. It goes extensively over these nonprofits. And a lot of states like Michigan have other nonprofits that are not nationwide. So watch that show, Purple, where I go over the places that are paying money for rent and utilities. Incredible details. And let's go to the other sums of money you can get right now. SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. Pick up the phone and contact the Department of Agriculture. It pays money for your food. And you saw Mark's brother-in-law got $21,000. He's sitting on $26,000. What happened? Well, the Department of Agriculture is raising everyone's benefits up automatically in October, starting a nationwide lifetime. This is incredible great news. It may have caused some confusion with people getting letters saying, my SNAP benefit raise is ending. That raise is ending and the new raise is kicking in. So they have to tell you the old one is ending, but the new one is starting in October. The average raise is 25% nationwide automatically. I know it may get confusing. You get a letter that something's ending, but it's the last one, the new one starting up. Finally, those refund checks. IRS refund check and state refund check. First, the state one. States are refunding back money for the unemployment benefits they overpaid you due to computer error. Average payment is $2,000 to $5,000 for viewers this channel and lands by direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. And finally, the refund check from IRS. This is the taxes you paid on the 2020 unemployment benefits you received. That refund check is anywhere from about $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. You can go to iris.gov and do a transcript search, and 70% of the time it'll work. It'll reveal the refund check you're getting and the tax return you're getting. There you go. So much excitement. And with that, let's go back to the final third cluster. Well, actually, I should not say final because there may be other clusters we just have not been told about. The third cluster of checks in that forced stimulus recon. Let's go over all the incredible details of that as we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now. Excitement. Well, this third cluster of checks involves some checks that are simply automatic. One of them is nearly automatic. The other one is. Let's go over the first one. The money for internet. Well, the federal government is going to give fortunes of internet, give fortunes to local cities so that they can run their own free internet company and then provide it to you, the citizen, for free. All you have to do is say, hey, I live here. Here I am. What's the username and password for the Wi-Fi? That's pretty darn automatic. Then how about the cheaper prescription medication checks? This is huge. This is absolutely automatic. And it's overnight. President's been very vocal about this. Let me go over how this works. You would go into a pharmacy, let's say on Monday, and pay $20 for a prescription, and then you come back a week later and maybe $5. What's going to happen? This law. The law would just come in and swipe away and cut some of the prescription medication prices due to agreements between the federal government and the pharmaceutical companies. So you'd immediately see a savings in your wallet. When you go to pay for the medication, you wouldn't take out a $20 bill. You'll, for example, take out a $5 bill. And there you go. Incredible details. But let's turn to the excitement, because I know you've been wondering, and I am too, the excitement of the Bernie Sanders IRS stimulus check. The IRS stimulus check from Bernie as a senator is not a unique situation. He is not the only person saying it, and he's certainly not the only senator. And in fact, we knew that on this channel nearly 8 weeks ago. It started with a longtime viewer who's often in the early mornings chats, and his name is WR. Let's go over all the details of what happened nearly 8 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago, I told you that as they write the forced stimulus recon, they're agreeing and disagreeing upon things. We see that now in these clusters. They're agreeing upon provisions, but not necessarily the amounts. Or they're agreeing upon the items, or not necessarily the provisions. And I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And WR, a longtime viewer of this channel, did. He picked up the phone, called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's oldest confidant. WR advocated for a stimulus check. Said, I need it, my community needs it, my church needs it. And Senator Chris Coons' staffer said, yes, he's putting a monthly forced stimulus check in the forced stimulus recon. There you go. Confirmation, world exclusive. It's important to understand what WR did. He did exactly what I said. Advocate for a stimulus check. These are legislators. They want to hear your story. They want to understand what you're going through. They want to be able to humanize the reason why they're paying this money out. Not just simply, I want it, or when. They are not FedEx. They are not UPS tracking. So do not ask them questions. When, where, how, who, hi. No. They want to hear your story. I need a stimulus check because of my community. I need a stimulus check because of my church, because of my family. This is what's going on with my family, my church, my neighborhood, my community, my business, my town, or what's going on. And I need to tell you why I need this. And then they remember it. They say, that, wow, is an incredible story. I will pass that along. Thank you for sharing that incredible story. That is the true embodiment of pushing it and advocating. Now, as we go closer to the present, 4 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders, who's chairman of the Budget Committee, said, I want to hear from you. What is Bernie Sanders' part of this equation. It's important to understand it because the 645 pages of the budget bill released in the last few days were released by the House Budget Committee. There is also Senate Budget Committee. Bernie is the chairman of that one. And he said about 3 weeks ago, prior budget chairmen sort of did their thing in D.C. I like to get out amongst the people. I said that means he wants to hear from you. He wants you to pick up the phone and tell him what you think he should be doing with the budget. And not a lot of people called initially. Some viewers did, like Lynn Glenn and Margaret and Brother Joshua. Brother Joshua is a 2020 volunteer for the community page, a longtime viewer, and also Purple Hawk. He picked the phone and advocated for a stimulus check, saying, we need it. I need it. My church needs it. Let me tell you what I want. And Bernie Sanders said yes. Not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders' staffer said yes. Senator Sanders will be proposing a fourth stimulus check on the Senate side for the Democrats. And it will be monthly. There you go. Now let's go over what was talked about in that conversation. First, monthly. Second, amount somewhere between $1,000 to $1,400 a month. Third, that it will run for 3 to 6 months. There you go. But there was a catch. He said he needs your support. He needs to know he has the support of the American people before he does something like that. You got this, Purple Power. Just like WR did. Pick up the phone, call your senator. Call every single Democratic senator you know there is out there and advocate for it. Ron Wyden wants you to have a check. Elizabeth Warren wants you to have a check. Chris Coons wants you to have a check at COONS. Bernie and Chuck Schumer, they all want you to have a check. Pick up the phone and advocate. WR was in the early mornings broadcast and the countdown show yesterday. And one viewer said, I'm praying for that check. WR said it's good to pray, but prayer doesn't replace pick up the phone and telling them. You need to tell these people I need it and advocate across the board. And with that, let's go now to a nuance of how they get this voting done, how they get it all combined together, because boy, this is exciting, and also we're cutting also to fifth stimulus. Well, the way to combine this all together is quite interesting because we have 645 pages written on a House side. But what if Democrats want to add something to that? Then how does that work out? Let me explain the details of that starting right now as we continue this analysis on Early Mornings LA. The next step would be to finish the writing of each of these other clusters. There may be more than 2 more clusters. There may be 4 more clusters. They get them all agreed upon. They write them up. And who writes them up? The House subcommittees. I was the first to tell you that the House members would be the authors. They are. And then they send them off to where I believe will be the House. I'm reporting that I believe the House is going to be the first voters on the recon substantive. This is what we're doing. Once the House agrees upon whatever they do, which they will, then it goes over to the Senate. The Senate then has a 2-day votorama. What is that votorama? At that time, the senators can make changes. Now, let's back up for a second. Let's be very honest here. Senate Democrats, when getting something from House Democrats, are not removing things. They're not removing things. That's the kiss of death. No. They may enhance things or add things. So let's say they're looking at the $4,000 for tending to a senior per year. They may look at it and say, that's not enough. I'm going to make it $5,000. And that's how they enhance items. They may also add things in there saying, well, maybe we should add this plus that. And there you go. That's important. That's why it's so important to push with Bernie, Chuck, and Ron Wyden, because they are part of the final equation to that voting. Now, if they do enhance something or add something to them, then what? It goes back to the House, and the House will absolutely approve anything the Senate gives them, because the House loves to spend money. So they have no problem with the Senate spending more money. With that, let's cut to fifth stimulus, because guess what? That's heating up as well. The president promised that on the campaign trail, and guess what? The Democrats are taking care of that as well. That's going for a drafting now out to a vote by about November or December, and then impacting your benefits by about December next year. How does this work? They're first going to raise your benefits up. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. Whose benefits are going to go up? Yours. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Step 1 is they're going to raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark is inflation. Where's inflation going? It's going to be transitory. It's going to spike up in December and come back down. No one knows how much it's a spike. A lot of new economic data released this week suggests it won't spike that much, which is good. I'm saying about 5%. Let's do the analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. That means if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, VA, or multiple benefits, they'll go up. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. If it's 5%, for example, you'll go up another 5%, not just next year, but a lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. They're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't be on benefits and also have more than $3,000 in hand. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't be on benefits and also employed. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the marriage penalty, which penalizes you from getting married by canceling your benefits. Now they'll be restored, and you'll be able to do a pair dance at your own wedding like Rob and Sandy. Finally, will there be a fifth stimulus check? There will be. Lastly, have you become a Purple Hawk? What are you doing? You need to become a member today. The link to become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP, is in the description to this video. It's important to become one because daily I deliver to you from the YouTube community page and the LALATE alert system a breakdown of all the big money under first, second, and third. You see what's going on right now. It's exactly like right before I launched Purple Hawks. I had a preview of what was in third stimulus back in January before it wasn't law. And I said, look at all these sums of money I can get you. I'm going to show you where these items are. And as soon as it became law, you were ready to pounce. Hawk, hawk, as a Purple Hawk. When fourth stimulus happens, we're going to have not 645 pages. We're going to have thousands of pages of checks to go over. And I'm going to deliver all that to you as an individual. Daily, I deliver to you right now all the big money on the first, second, and third stimulus. And that's why viewers like Mark's brother-in-law getting these big sums of money, Johnny and Johnny's family getting $100,000. Johnny got $80,000. Mark getting $51,000. Lorraine $105,000. This is why these big numbers are coming in daily. Jen this week at $40,000 of rent. It's happening in and out across the board. Finally, a big recap, because I know there's been a lot in this video. That's sort of what's going on and will continue to go on over the next few days. And as we combine nearly 3 subject matters at the same time. Third stimulus, $13 billion now available for you right now. More money for rent and utilities. Also, the nonprofits now available for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Watch Purple every night on this channel at 11:30 for more about them as well. Fifth stimulus starting to draft up right now so that it gets out to a vote in November, December. That is the raise of your benefits, SSI and SSDI. But the one that's really the excitement of the land has been the fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus, which now has 645 pages released of checks, are absolutely a lot of checks. Those checks include everything from hazard pay to checks for fixing your home, checks for students, checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for parents, and checks for non-parents. Cluster number 2 and number 3, not yet written yet, but cluster number 2 would give lots of money for everything from paid and medical leave, and cluster number 3 are the items the president wants in there as well. So many different details across the board, and guess what? It's a lot to keep notes of, but I hope you are keeping notes as well. I'm here to help you get these big sums of money. Finally, a personal message. Thank you for the last 3 days. Biggest run of this channel in nearly 3 months for a reason. We're really focusing on getting every single penny you can. Information is king. Information is king. The way you know the money, where the money is by watching the video throughout, saying, wait a second, I want this, I want that, that's me, I want that money. Learning about every single pen of money and every single check. As soon as I know about a new check, I deliver it on air. So as I see a question I think is very important, I deliver it on air. Seeing some of the questions I got in the last 24 hours have been absolutely wonderful. Like someone said, do I have to be pandemic? No. That's not fourth stimulus. Nothing is fourth stimulus pandemic. And then people saying, what about the $13 billion going back to that state? Is that for mortgage assistance? In most states it is. It depends on how they want to spend the money, but absolutely. Great questions across the board. Jump in the live chats. And yes, the excitement continues with Mornings Overnight, a Crypto Overnight currently playing on the channel. Then I'm back with you at 7 a.m. with Mornings Countdown. then Mornings LA at 9 a.m., and then noontime at 11 a.m., and Mornings Crypto at 10 a.m. What a big day it has been, and it's just getting started. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Powercast, so you know VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.